This is Lisa and Rue. I'm Lisa, and this is Rue. I'm a professional dog trainer, certified canine nutritionist, and founder of Zoomies Dog Training and Adventures, as well as our new brand, Zoomies Dog Nutrition. This podcast dives into the whole dog. We talk training, psychology, nutrition, and so much more. Our goal is to help you explore new approaches to thriving with humans' best friends. Okay, so today's episode is a bit different. It's a really important one for the Cromwell community. So if you live in Cromwell, you've probably heard a lot over the past few months about the Sandflat Road pines, the proposed tree felling, and what that means for our community, especially for those of us that have dogs. There's been media coverage, council statements, meetings, petitions, protests, and a lot of information going in a lot of different directions. So while there are pieces of the story still out there, the full picture, the timeline, the decisions, the data, and the real life impact, we want to make sure is all shared in one place. So this isn't about creating drama at all. It's not about opposing the council for the sake of it, but it's really about understanding what's actually happening, asking good questions, and making sure that as a community, we're making informed decisions about something that impacts a lot of people and not just dog owners. This space is more than a green area. It's shade, it's safety, it's routine, it's well-being, it's connection, and for many people, it's a part of their everyday life. So while I've been the spokesperson for the 730 plus who have signed our petition, there's been a group of incredible people who are here behind the scenes, gathering information, asking the right questions, and making sense of everything that's been unfolding. So today I'm joined by three of those people. We've got Judy Cockeram, Dr. Sarah Jones, and we've got Eddy Raffles. So together we're just going to talk through the timeline, what's been said, what's been found, where things don't really add up, and what we're actually asking for as Pause for Pines. So if you're a little bit confused or you've heard bits and pieces, then this episode hopefully will give a really good understanding of what's going on. So let's get into it, and we're going to start with Eddy. He's going to go through a timeline of what's happened here in Cromwell.
Alrighty, thank you, Lisa. So it was back in November 2025, November 20th, that this first got brought to our attention following the council meeting, that due to the Bannockburn industrial pines being sold, they were essentially recommending the Sandflat Road pines be felled at the same time, which was confirmed at the council meeting the following day. We sprung into action, I think, pretty much immediately. Lots of messages flying around, and then you would have seen the petition. What are we at the moment? 7:30. So I think that really reflects the high significance to the community.
It's about 10% of the Cromwell community. It's like 7,000.
Growing every day.
Yeah, plus growing every day.
Despite the petition, council still seem to move ahead. There's been some really good coverage on the Central app of this, and they keep mentioning this April start date for that felling. Then on the 15th of March, we had the Pause for Pines protest down at Alpha Street, which will be the only remaining off-leash dog exercise area in Cromwell if the pine felling is to go ahead. So we had 50 people approximately, and about 45 dogs down there, which sort of was really well supported. And that also was in the ODT. So after advice from council and comments saying these trees are diseased, unhealthy, and about ultimately being about public safety, I can't remember who was the person with that quote.
Well, several people on the community board said it.
There's one, is it Peter Guthrie?
Yeah, I think this article was in the Central app, and this is when we first found out about the pines being felled, was this article.
We funded that report. It came back that the trees were healthy, not diseased, and essentially had no risk to public safety. Structurally sound. So from our perspective, no real rush needed to fell those trees. And then the final decision. So this would have been last Thursday, the 18th of March, I believe.
Mhm.
That despite the independent report, the protest, the petition, this timeline, CODC met and reconfirmed that they will go ahead with the original harvest plan, which obviously we have some questions around process, but that is a rough timeline of what brought us here today.
Yeah,
Mm.
so our key issues that we're going to go over now start with the decision being made before full information was considered. And I think we have made it very, very important to note when we are communicating with the council that we are just trying to provide them with information that we feel has not been considered.
Change their position.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
It's
think we
not-
can say that.
Yes.
Because we were told that all trees.
We got a report on a portion of the trees when we had the initial information that there was no problems, not some, but no problems. We
Mhm.
wondered about the entire block.
Mhm.
Then they brought back a report that said the entire block, with some care, is sound, safe, and undiseased. It's why they got a report about the whole block.
The community board seemed to lack the awareness of how much the space is used by the Cromwell community. And we felt that the report may not have been tabled before the rush to decision. And Judy has just spoken about why the report had changed from just a small area to the entire space.
But we were
Cost?
led to believe they were
They
also
had to come down.
unsafe.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's what we were told.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so
we
we-
had to come down, so they'll do it together. That's what we were told. Because they had
Yes.
to come down, it's
Yes.
cost saving to do them together.
It is
That
not,
was the reasoning.
which is what led us to get the report. It is
So it is. So there's they had
not
changed
in
their
the
position,
minutes.
but that's exactly what was said to us.
Exactly
and
what
it was
said
said
us
to
in the
you
meeting.
in the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
With witnesses.
Yes.
It is-
Yeah.
it's
Diseased and
recorded.
unsafe.
And that's why
Mm.
it's economical to do them together because they have to come down.
Yes.
And now they don't,
now
have,
they don't
to
have
come
to come down.
down.
Now,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
So that
That does change it significantly.
Yes.
So the community board were asked to make a decision around these trees have to come down. Shall we do it now? Or we have now understood that the question is these trees don't have to come down. So they don't have to come down. Sorry, that's very confused, but you know what I mean?
That's it.
And
But
it's the,
yeah.
it's the situation has changed. They
Yeah.
made a decision based on incorrect information that the trees were diseased and unsafe. Now we know the trees are healthy and safe, therefore do not need to come down. And the cost saving is huge for
Mhm.
not taking the trees down. You don't buy one, get one free later.
They don't have to come down.
So there is no cost.
There is no cost saving.
There's only expense of the felling, of the carbon credits
it-
repaying, of the energy and effort it'll take.
Yeah.
Changed.
Yeah.
There,
It's changed
yeah, I'm
the
just
same
looking at
as-
the original meeting when it's just recommends council to harvest the 60 hectare Sandflat Road forestry block with no real justification of that.
No, because there's no real information in the original
No.
agenda. The information that was prepared for our community board was
Mm.
lacking in any real information. It was
completely.
only numbers gathered from the internet. It was only an option because we did actually give them a second option, and that was for a portion of the trees to come down. That's what makes me suspicious that they haven't read anything.
Well, yes, well, they presented two options.
Yeah.
We have some questions whether those two options were actually given any time and thought.
The basis for the decision has now changed
Yeah.
because of our arborist report. It's not just one thing off the list. The
whole reasoning.
the whole reasoning has changed. These
Yeah.
trees
Yep.
do not have to come down.
That can provide an incredible cost saving.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all about the cost. We're making savings.
Are you-
Here's the council report, just while we're on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so the council report from council own staff spaces, there's some bit about values. Here's the option. So option 1 was recommended that they fell both blocks at the same time. And then option 2 was to not harvest the Sandflat Road forestry block while harvesting Bannockburn Industrial Development Site. Those are the 2 options.
That were presented, and we feel that
So
the
this is,
second
yes,
option
that
wasn't
was,
given.
yes, this was what the community board saw on the 25th of November.
Yeah.
But the following day is when they decided that they were going to fell them all at the same time without consulting the community.
Mhm.
Yes, which is our point about making sure the appropriate information
Yes.
is there.
Mm.
Yeah.
It would be impossible for that to have been the case then,
Yeah.
knowing what we know now. Nice.
Now, our third core issue is that there's no clear plan for the land. So the council and the MP have confirmed this. They're basically removing something before they know what's going to replace it or how they're going to replace all of what this community is used to having for their dogs and for shade and things that we'll get into a bit later. They have said that there could be 2 years of stumps before they need to repay the carbon credits.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Absolutely, yep. So we're in for 2 years of windblown dust. We are making the assumption that they're not going to de-stump it because that would be an extraordinary cost, which means the land can only possibly have very remedial work done on it. And
basically, all you can do with that land, if you just leave stumps, is replant pines.
yes,
So it's
And I think it's important to note, on the note of not having a clear plan, that if the council has known that this was going to happen for years and years and years, they had years and years and years to come up with a replacement off-leash dog area that is shaded because it takes a long time for a tree to grow, and B, a use for the land that benefits our community rather than it being there.
standard economic practice for if you've got something you can't just say, well, what would I buy at Mitre 10 to replace it, and you can't identify that number, is to look at what it provides and say, okay, what would it take to provide that in another way? And so we're talking about, and I don't think any of us ever thought we'd keep all 60 hectares, but let's say that we're talking about 60 hectares of shade and shelter from the wind. That is unimaginable in its cost. So its value is
Priceless,
extremely
yeah.
high as a phrase, but it's priceless. Even to put up wind boundaries would be a huge cost, let alone anything for shade.
Yeah.
And Cromwell is windy.
Cromwell is windy and
the
it's hot and
time-
it's sunny. In the communication that we've had with the council and the mayor, they have mentioned being a part of their long-term plan and encouraging us to do that. However, that leaves us with nothing, essentially, or 3% of the land that we have now. That is, the 3% is very unsuitable for that long-term plan, which is what, their 5-year plan. It's not it's not a replacement, and that is a long time to be without a space that is highly valued and needed by this community.
And maybe, don't compare to, I think what the mayor thinks about Alex when she's talking about removing pines and confident about it.
This
but
is
they
half
had
the half mile.
half mile
pines
reserve.
were
Yes.
felled. But Alex actually has 3, Eddie's done the GIS calculations, has 3 good off-leash areas existing already
Yes.
that are left.
And they have
access to those.
Which are shaded and near water.
Yes.
And they don't have very successful cycle trails, which means that 100% of our lakeside dog walks are now no-go zones for an awful lot of dogs.
Chase bikes.
Might
We
be.
can't take them.
It might be a good time to touch on the Alpha Street area,
Yes.
which the community has fought for that space.
Yeah, so...
But it is next to a road and a cycleway.
Yes.
And I can see that there's a value in having that fence, but it's still only socializing dogs. It's not exercising dogs. A small area with a number of people. This morning I was out at Sandflat. There were at least 20 dogs in that area on Alpha Street trying to be in one small space. It just, no, it would not have worked.
And that's why we did the protest at Alpha Street, because this area is so unsuitable for a number of dogs. And that being said, if there's over a certain amount of dogs there, I would argue that it's unsuitable for all of the dogs there because they're getting overwhelmed, and this can then lead to reactivity, not to mention the fact that it's unfenced and right next to a main road. If a dog sees a cat in the person's house that live right across the street, then they will run out, and there is the risk of the dog being hit, the cat being injured. There's a playground just a little bit further down the bike cycleway. So you can imagine little kids seeing a dog and thinking cute and running over to it, which is not a good scenario for many dogs and many children. And this is something that is avoidable. There's also the fact that there is no shade, bar one tree. Couldn't see.
There's two trees.
Next to the road.
I couldn't see 700 people huddling under the tree. And then there's cyclists who, dogs getting hit by cyclists getting chased by dogs, falling off their bike, angry walkers that don't like dogs, them running up to them, because even the most controlled dogs, the most well-trained dogs, are not going to listen all the time. They're animals. Do we listen all the time? Like, do our children listen all the time? It's not. It's like the world thinks that dogs can be perfect. That is not the case for any animal or human. And so it's scary to think with all of the news at the moment as well. SPCA, what are they doing exactly? They're reevaluating.
Well, they will be involved when the government review the dog control laws, thank goodness, and hopefully a lot more people. We're in the ludicrous situation where we want to manage our dogs, take them to a place where they can be, and we've got a council that are pushing us into having greater roaming dog issues.
Way more risk than needed for the whole community. Yeah. And at the protest, every dog needed to be on a leash, because if they were all let off, I imagine there would have been multiple fights. There was a fight on the lead because they got too close, they got tangled up, whatever they were fighting over. This is the risk. These dogs were all barking. Barking irritates dogs, it overwhelms them. It's just energy rising until it explodes. And so that is what you have at dog parks, even if they're fenced. And that is why there's been a lot of media about like small enclosed doggy daycare is not working and things like that, where a dog is overstimulated the entire time, because that's what causes reactivity. And reactivity is what a lot of people call aggression. So it is a really, really important point to make while our community grows, and that coming with it, families who have children and families who have dogs. So our population of dogs is going to continue to grow, but our space is going to shrink by 97.6%. It's just hilarious.
It wasn't so horrifying.
So while we're on the topic of what we're losing, here is a comparison to Alex, because this was something that was addressed to us in an email from the mayor, about how they know more about this sort of thing because they took trees down in Half Mile Reserve in Alex a few years ago. However, the amount of space, like we were discussing prior, is significant in what Cromwell will be left with versus what Alex was left with. So, Eddy, do you want to talk about your GIS that you've
I think
made up?
It's pretty self-explanatory. If those two blocks go, then Cromwell loses. This is the reason, right? Why we have made our concerns so public, because we're really going to be left with nothing. 1.7 square kilometers compared to and then that's the comparison. If those blocks are gone, when you look at Alex, which has a smaller population, less dogs, whereas they have 97% more dog walking or dog exercise space compared to Cromwell. Those are the numbers there. So Alex has those 4 significant areas. Cromwell at the moment has 3. 2 of them are going.
And this information people can find on our website, can't they?
Yep, we'll link the
Yeah, we'll link our
that good
website
stuff.
in the bio.
We haven't included Dustin Park in this because Peas
It's
and
not in
Wines
Cromwell.
is out of town.
The next point that we wanted to make is that the value we believe is being misunderstood by the council. The trees are being treated as timber, but actually they function as shade, they function as recreation, they function as community well-being, and they also function as behavioral safety for our dogs being in the community. So replacing this is not something that is fast or simple. And tying on that shade bit, we have a document from the Cancer Society that Judy
Yeah. So
found.
the Cancer Society have done quite a lot of work around the issues around health and safety and UV exposure and all those good things. And it's a document that looks at many issues and also includes the risks and responsibilities of local authorities as well, where, it's a bigger and bigger issue and they will face concerns.
New Zealand's trailing behind Australia.
Yeah, a long way.
Very in Australia. You think of all the kids' playgrounds in Australia, they're all covered in shade.
Yeah.
All shaded.
Yeah, have to be.
It's a massive health and safety issue, not having shade in such a sunny, hot, dry place such as Cromwell.
And it's not just the shade for the walking, it's shade for the ground that you then walk on.
We don't have the barley grass, and the barley grass here can be fatal for dogs. And so that's another reason we go out to the pines, because everywhere else along the lake edge has the barley grass.
Yeah.
So the pines is the best place. It's the safest place to take your dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that we find really important, because this has come down to cost for the council now, is that we feel this doesn't fully stack. I think, Judy, Sarah, you have some really good points on this.
Right, so buying one and expecting the other one to be half price is not a saving if you only need to take one thing down. The council is doing work on the Bannockburn pines, as they call it. That's a hugely expensive job, and in this financial year, when the prices of fuel are doing skyrocketing tricks, I cannot believe that the component of the contract that they have around fuel will not be excessively expensive this year as we deal with the shortages due to the
They're
wars.
probably going to have to renegotiate.
They will have to renegotiate. And at that point, it would seem to me that you opt out of felling the second block. And the crazy thing is it's a much bigger block. Whatever development happens in the future, it will get properly addressed and be developed, and the cost borne by that development.
They're not staging the whole process so that we have currently an area that we can run our dogs. Why is it not being staged? Why are they doing it all at once and removing it all at once? It's unfathomable. It's actually irresponsible.
With no plan either.
There's
No
no plan
clear
for that,
maintenance costs have been identified to us or the community. I'm pretty sure that the original document says it would be cost neutral.
It did. So cost neutral, if they can find a tenderer who's willing to do kind of a profit share on the timber.
But if it's cost neutral, does that include the carbon credits paying it? Doesn't?
No. Well, that's the other big thing.
Is a big thing.
Well, they wouldn't be making any money from cutting down the pines, so I don't know what their motive is to do it so quickly.
Also to pay the carbon credits back. So it's just losing more and more money. It's becoming more and more.
It's spending a huge amount of money to save what might be a few $1,000s.
And
we have requested a lot of that information, but that does take time to receive, which is another reason we're asking for pausing and reconsider, because there's still so many things that we don't know about this
I don't
this
think they know
process.
some of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
they know.
yeah, I find some of these social stories really quite fascinating in the sense that place was actually a recreational and a dog exercising area before it was a pine plantation. I really do believe that 20-something years ago, the council here said, we're not going to keep pruning these things. We're going to use this as a recreational area. It is a better use for our community. This endowment land is there for the betterment of our community.
And that's
having a paddock. Having a paddock of stumps for 2 years is not a better thing, particularly when the original reason for savings, be it operational simplicity or not, is not actually there. These trees are healthy. They do not have to come out.
So, we're being told it's about savings, but the numbers haven't actually been shown to us. We're being told it's a forestry block that was always going to be harvested. However, there is multi-uses, so many uses for the space.
Yeah, and there's evidence that original intention, even then, they were understanding that it is a place for Cromwell because none of the boundary trees, bar where you need to park, were pruned ever. So they were always considered a beautification boundary or, a way of stopping the wind through there.
And actually, the original purpose of the trees wasn't a commercial crop. It was for dust suppression and to retain moisture in the valley. Because Cromwell was a dust bowl.
And it will be again.
It actually retains moisture for your surrounding agriculture.
Just on that, the walking gentleman came to the council meeting that we attended at the start of this process and had a beautiful quote. I hope I can remember this correctly. He said in so many words, a dog park is where people stand around and dogs sort of run around and play. Pines are where people walk with dogs. It's just such a beautiful way of putting it. And and like the connections we've made with in that
people
space.
who are in their care work taking their patients out there and walking through those pines regularly.
Like forest therapy. It is therapy.
But I think the thing that's disturbing again is that our community board and our council have not been given any other information than a generic number of what they might earn for the timber if it was felled. And that's the only number that was in their documentation. It just seems ludicrous, dare I say criminal, to have so little information about an important place, area, patch of ground within a community.
There was a slight mention, I remember in the original report, in the original story that came out of the Central Lab, and it said these areas are designated dog walking areas. This will upset people.
I think
we will acknowledge this loss will be felt by the community. Medium significance.
They called it medium, but it's actually a lot bigger than medium significance.
Well, and Lisa makes the point, it's not just dog walkers.
Yes.
It actually impacts the whole community.
I think we have shown that there is more than medium significant at this point.
Well, that's something else to include, actually. So there's 730 people who've signed the petition thus far, and everybody else needs to now, please. And those 730 people, if they're attending daily, are easily spending over 300 hours a year out there. We did some research and found that a rugby player, passionate rugby player at his club, will spend 150 to 250 hours. And I'm sure there are lots of people who spend more, but the averages point to the fact that the pines are used in a very different way, but more significant to each individual every day of the year, not just in the winter. And I've been going for a decade, and I know others have gone for much longer.
So we do have some concerns, obviously, about the way that this has been presented to the community. We feel that it should have been treated as a significant decision and that more community outreach should have
happened.
should have
There's been
happened.
Zero consultation.
We feel that all the options should have been genuinely considered, which they weren't, because they made their choice the day after. And we feel that community views have not been meaningfully included in this either. And, all the information that things like no shade in the community, risk, public risk, I believe that to be a health and safety issue as well, with dogs and people clashing. I feel that these things have not been considered properly, and that the process that the council has gone through there's been a lack of communication, a lack of information gathering, a lack of consultation, and lack of what the repercussions will be if the space is lost. And as the community board, they need to come up with a solution for us, even if that means a new space or some of the space. But this all should have been done a long time ago, and this is why we're asking for a pause and reconsider.
Yes, we mentioned that before. All love to see a compromise or a resolution where there is a new space or some other solution. But at the moment, it feels very unresolved for us, and still very much up in the air. We were really hopeful in our
initial meetings with the community board.
In particular, Casey came out to the site with you.
Went for a walk.
He went for a walk with us. He met us for coffee. He spent a lot of time trying to understand what it is that we needed. And we felt that we were getting somewhere. And this was actually up until the point when the mayor made a statement that that he no longer felt he was able to help us. And so it's devastating. And I don't really understand how that changes anything. However, I mean, it really doesn't change anything, does it?
I'm not an
We're
expert
still
on that.
losing our dog walking place.
Government. Yes.
Yeah.
There's no solution yet.
So what we're asking for is really, really simple. We're not asking them to stop what they're doing forever. We're asking for a pause. We're asking for them to review the new evidence. We're asking for them to include the community, and we're asking them to create a plan before, if they are going to remove the area. None of these things have been done properly, and we feel almost, I suppose, cheated as a community of 730 people who use this space and are going to be lacking. And this is probably, I would say, one of the most special places for a lot of the people in the group. It's where we all have met, and it's where our dogs have met. It's where we've all enjoyed, a cup of coffee and a walk. It's where laughs and giggles happen.
Golf puddles, the dogs were splashing, and the council cared enough to take out the old wire fence. It was good of them.
Well, you guys did it.
Just put them in little balls.
That was you.
Oh, you did all the work. They came along and took it to the middle.
Dog leads around to help get them out.
We've done a lot of trash pickup there, and sent those images to the council after we did a massive rubbish pickup a few years ago, and they replied, "Oh, I don't know if this is council land." So it's a little bit of a slap in the face to now hear that this is, the space that we've all been taking care of. It's going to go up in flames.
Well, it's been under the radar for so long.
Well, and therein lies the problem. They haven't done anything. They don't know about it. They just think it's an empty paddock full of trees. And it's not. And it never has been.
They've never described the value that it is.
Yeah.
And Mike did admit that. He said, "I thought it was just a block of trees." And I'm so glad that you have brought this to my attention, because it's obviously not a block of trees. There's a whole community of people that use the space. And
I think that's the frustrating thing. It is not. It's just not taking into account any of our values and.
So
and none of us are saying that what is out there should stay forever. What we're saying,
absolutely.
We are saying we need to do this properly, change what we have, for what everybody else wants in a careful way where we don't lose 97.6% of the dog walking areas in Cromwell. That's just staggering. Please plan. Pause, reconsider, and plan.
So really the bigger picture is, this is about how decisions are made. It's about how communities are involved, and it's about what we value as a community and the real value of the space being taken into consideration. And like Judy said, we're not asking to keep it forever. We want a like for like, or we want something, we need something. It's not even something that we want, it is something that we need and that the community is really going to suffer without.
We want to keep people safe.
Yes.
It's a really simple thing.
It's really it really is.
We want to keep people safe at no cost. Just do nothing and everybody is safe.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Well, I said people love their dogs. We love our dogs. We all want to have
do the
appropriate spaces for them.
We are the responsible dog owners.
Yeah.
The media loves the irresponsible dogs.
Yeah.
Give us some space, please.
Yeah, because it's very uncertain times for Cromwell dog owners at the moment.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what it's going to look like down there, if that's where people are going, or if, if our dogs aren't exercised properly, because off-leash time is also essential for dogs.
Yeah, and one of the things that's so interesting about this thing is that it's a complex range of things, because one of the things that it's shown to me, and it horrifies me, how good people on our community board and good people in our council and the mayor are given really bad information and they make a choice that they believe is right for us, they believe is correct for us. And it's not because it's missing more than half the picture. It's these people have been asked to make a decision they did not know the details of. Nobody has given them the actual number around the savings. Nobody has clearly thought through the implication of those trees not being diseased.
Yeah.
Yeah. And local democracy, get out there and vote.
Big thank you to Judy, Eddy, and Sarah for discussing this on the podcast today. And if you want to help, we will link our website, our petition, our Facebook page. If you could do all of the things, if you know anyone who could help us, have them reach out. My email is on the website. So thank you for listening. Thank you for giving us your support. And we hope that we can solve this for all of our community and come to a good solution and a good compromise with the CODC.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
If you like this episode, please share it with a friend. We'd love to hear your feedback. For more advice about training or nutrition, you can always contact us on any social media sites. We are at Zoomies Dog Training Adventures and at Zoomies Dog Nutrition. You can also book in a virtual training or nutrition consultation at zoomiesdogtrainingadventures.com.